Welcome to my final review and ranking of Drake's Freeze the World trilogy with our last album left, Maid of Honor. I talked about each album in the order that I listened to them, and I think that they were meant to be listened to, hence why this one's coming last. But it was such a great and unexpected surprise when maybe it shouldn't have been after a single like Which One. I've spoken to people who think the rollout of these albums could have and maybe should have went differently, because there was a ton of potential on an album like this for it to be a summer smash. But my response is that it would have deprived us of the big 3-album drop surprise, and that's worth more than Drake min-maxing sales, clearly. Otherwise he would have been releasing bundles for the past 5 years. I'm also someone who loved Honestly Nevermind, because I love almost every genre of music and love hearing one of my favourite artists take on it. And I feel the same way about Maid of Honor, even with it not being as house-coded. But if you're watching this video, let me know what you thought about the album and which songs you love the most. But this is my review and ranking of each song, starting off beautifully with Hoe Phase. It starts the album off so strong. I love the way it slowly builds and feels perfectly paced, and something you'll notice in this ranking, like my other ones, I really value movement in my music. That means beat switches, a great bridge, a change in delivery. It's a big reason why I love Drake, because he can rap and sing on any song. And we see that on Hoe Phase. It starts off with a very Honestly Nevermind feel until the drums come in and turn it into a really fun song that's more than a late night atmospheric soundscape. And speaking of movement, the way the beat slows down, speeds up, goes on a journey, I think it perfectly captures what this album is about and is trying to be. This album is definitely for the girls, but is great when blasted on a great sound system, loud as hell, and with friends on a night out. And while I wouldn't mind it being a bit longer, I just love this song. It's a shame to kill the suspense with the first song, but Hoe Phase is my favourite song on Maid of Honor. Because it's now been a few months since these albums have come out, my ranking and thoughts on these songs have changed a lot. I spent the whole week it dropped listening to every album on repeat and writing down my thoughts on every song and making a preliminary ranking. In that first ranking, Hoe Phase and Road Trips were always neck and neck, and the two songs I struggled to split. I originally had them both in the 6 to 9 range at first, and then eventually had them at 3 and 4. But what I'm trying to say is these songs have grown on me and I've changed my mind, but still think these songs are really close. So Road Trips is taking second place. Talk about killing suspense, as our top 2 sorted 2 songs in. I think Road Trips is more accessible if you're not a fan of electronic music but just love Drake. The movement of this track is great. Once again we get that slow build which just adds so much and really accentuates the beat coming in and setting the vibe. He gives us some great lyrics and lines, and something I'm realizing, Drake really knows how to kill a bridge. It's a real strength of this album specifically, as he gets so much to play with on music like this. I will say I don't like the Hell Yeah section. I hated it when I first heard it, or at least thought it was funny. But everything else about this song is so great to me that it has to be right up there. Outside Tweaking with Stunna Sandy starts off a 4-song feature-heavy run of songs, and they're mostly great. There's just something about this song that I really like. If the entire song was just how it starts, it would be low. But again, it makes it better because it evolves or has that progression that's so satisfying to hear in any song, especially something electronic. And particularly that beat that comes in with Stunna Sandy is so nice. I also love her voice on it, it's so good. The only thing that costs this song some points is the outro making up a third of the song, which actually means it's a really short song. About 1:50 before we stop getting any vocals. And that's a shame. I wish there was more to it, whether it be another verse, another outro, or even another beat switch. But despite that, it's a really fun song and one that climbed a lot from my first listen and ranking, from 9th to 5th. If this was night 1 of the album, Cheetah print with Sexyy Red would have topped our ranking here because it was my instant favourite. It's hard to not love a song when it has such a clear and famous sample. It gives you a bias toward it like you already know it. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it's a great enough song for it to rank in 4th place. I can't put it any lower than that. There are 2 reasons why it's dropped. 1 is Hoe Phase and Road Trips rising, and 2 is me considering that the final third of the song, again, is this outro that doesn't necessarily add anything to the song for me. The Sexyy Red arse-shaking instruction outro is perfect for the song, and a really funny addition. But just like Outside Tweaking and some songs to come, I have to consider every second of a song because so many of these songs are tight and so good. But let's talk about what makes this song great, because it is 4th. The way they've flipped the sample and pumped life back into this club classic is sick and simple. Drake's parts also fit and flow perfectly, especially the verses, while the hook tries to make it its own classic. Like I did on my Habibti video, let's just quickly talk about Sexyy Red, because she gets a lot of hate, and again I've heard people say that she ruined this song. I'll say this, if she wasn't on the song, Drake would have had to figure out another ending, and I probably would have preferred it, but she is, and I think it's okay. It's also better than her having a horrible verse and ruining the song that way. Besides, it's a bit of fun, and I think that's ultimately what this song is. And her part and the outro of the song kinda makes the song what it is. That's kinda Sexyy Red's role in some of these Drake collabs. Also, we better get used to her because she and Drake are besties for real. Singles are always so hard for me to gauge and rank unless I really love or hate them. And Which One with Central C is one of those that's in between. From a great start, this one's coming in 10th place for me. I like Central C and like how they've paired on their On The Radar freestyle, but I just prefer a lot of songs over this one on this album. Again, it's the curse of singles for me, especially when I feel like we've had so much time to sit with it and live with it. The other songs are like new toys and way more exciting. I also think the beat and production matters so much on an album like this and can really be a case of choose your poison because we all have our own tastes. The song does have a beat change, but is more like it goes up a couple of octaves or keeps the same keys while switching from the synthy bass to some bubbly keys. Just to put it out there, I prefer the first half and really like Sench's verse. It's obviously not bad, I like it when I hear it, but I'm rushing to play the others first, sorry. We move into another electric dancehall track on Amazing Shape with Popcaan. I think it was a top 5 song on my first listen, I really liked it. The production really stands out and feels extra expertly done than some of the others on here. I might be spoiled by the production on this trilogy because really every song is incredibly well made and cared for, as you'd expect from a Drake album this deep into his career to be fair. So many songs on these 3 albums have a beat change halfway through, and I think that would have taken this song to the next level to me. But it doesn't, and it's dropped a bit from my first ranking, landing in 8th place. But things slow down on BBW as Act 2 continues in this Caribbean-influenced portion of the album. Again, it's a welcome reprieve when you listen to the album start to finish, and it's another one of those more accessible songs as a typical Drake fan. Something that I love all throughout this album, and the others, is anytime we get those DJ interpolations. It gives me this old school throwback feel that's so dope. And aside from that, the beat is pretty simple for a while, with the occasional sting that stands out as Drake flows over it until the outro goes crazy. He also samples Caribbean legend Denise Belfon, adding to another great sample in this trilogy and something I know a lot of people appreciated. The outro just turns me up and makes me need to listen to more, and flows perfectly into our next song, working as a great pair. That definitely hurts replayability or playlist shuffle play, but like I always say, albums should always come first, and it would be cool if every song had a transition as smooth as this. BBW was a tough one to place, but I feel good putting it in 6th place. With BBW making me want more and raising energy levels, True Bestie with Iconic Savvy delivers on that. We get more of that DJ feel that makes this feel real and natural. It doesn't take long for the beat to kick in and ramp us up higher. There's only one big complaint from me, and that's the overall length. We only get a verse from Drake, even if it's sick, on a short song. And honestly, if it was longer, this could be a lot higher. But at the same time, it feels as long as it should be in a weird way. But that doesn't mean I don't want more. The song very much comes and goes, but is great for the listening experience of the album, which, like I said, is most of what really matters. I will just add in here on our last song with a feature that I love how Drake used features on all 3 albums. Iceman was all about him and what he had to say, so he left the talking to himself and made a statement here and there with a future reunion, for example. But on Habibti and Maid of Honour, we got a lot of variety out of our Drake features, and I love how he branched out and worked with people I hadn't heard of before. It's cool to see someone as big as him use his platform to still put other people on, like he's done so much over his career. You could make the joke that he had to because he's been at war with everybody else you'd think he'd make a song with. But it helps him tap into a new sound and style when we keep thinking he's bound to run out of ideas, while instead he keeps pushing his music forward, putting on other artists and other genres. Just losing out to BBW, True Bestie is taking 7th place, but if there was just a little more meat on the bone, it would be higher for sure. Interludes like Where's Your Stuff are always an easy victim. I don't feel too bad chucking in last place, so we're taking the easy way out and doing it here. I always say this in all my videos when Interlude pops up, I love them. They're so nice in breaking up an album, providing that respite or even a story beat, and here it just reinforces the tone of this For the Girls Club album. But outside of listening to the album start to finish, we don't need to spend any more time talking about it in this video. We bounce back into it with New Bestie, a sleeper favourite from my first listen. It was another song that used to be a top 3 lock, but this is how pedantic I have to be. What I really love about this song is the second half, and we have a first half to sit through before we get that. The first half is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's very chill, slow, and takes its time. He's vocally in his Birkin, and establishes the song as the furthest thing from a club banger. But the song needs that sped up second half, it really benefits from that bump in tempo and energy. And it ultimately builds to make this really elegant slow burn which rises, rather than something short and explosive like True Bestie. As an honestly nevermind truther, the second half speaks to me. It's almost the perfect house track to me and is just so clean. From the shifting drums to the quick chords. I'm not sure how to make this song better because I think the first half existing is what makes the second half hit so hard. They need each other. And I need this song in my life. I was gonna place it 4th, but I've convinced myself that this is a top 3 lock and taking 3rd place. Sorry, Cheetah Print. Q&A is a really sick song, but suffers from the same thing that Amazing Shape does to me, and that's just that the song doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. It's a problem that only exists because the others feel like they do. Saying that, I love the drawn out vocals on this song as he rides the beat. It's definitely one of the most replayable songs on the album, at least to me. I could play this anytime, any day. But that doesn't mean it's better. And like I said, it just feels like it's missing something, and leaves this song in the weird middle or bottom third of my ranking of songs that I like but don't love, as it takes 9th place. I will say I do love songs like this when it's just one big continuous verse, it just keeps ticking along. I don't know, 9th feels low, but I do like it, and maybe goes to show how close some of these songs are to me. Because it is in a similar world to BBW, just without the beat ever dropping. But we get our biggest sonic shift at the end of the album, starting with this old 80s inspired sound on Stuck. The old school synth and drum immediately gives you that retro wave feel. The general hook and premise and little vocal breaks are really cool, and I like the outro and how it leads into the next song. Thinking about it as I'm talking about it, I have a weird song association that popped into my head, but it reminds me of Justin Bieber's Hold Tight. I could just hear a mashup of these two songs and it would probably be awesome. And to that point, I know we've only got low ranking spots left, so you know I don't love any of these songs, but that's not entirely true. I always feel a need to defend myself with this, because I will tell you if I hate a song. Stuck is good, and I like it, but the others just do more for me. But in our ranking, Stuck is stuck in 12th place. And just like Stuck, Goose and The Juice has that 80s disco vibe with its synth-heavy progressive sound that immediately throws it back. And just like Stuck, while I always appreciate getting something different and unique from Drake almost 20 years into his career, they are my least favourite sounds and songs on the album. I think you can tell by the top end of my ranking that I've been leaning towards some of the harder club records on the album versus some of these slower, more laid-back house or disco songs. And it's a little surprising to me that that's the case. I'm much more of a laid-back house guy than a turn-up club guy, but I feel like most of the album wants us to turn up and feel good. But anyways, Juice and the Goose is just a bit flat and boring compared to the rest, with its pretty steady loop beat and Drake not giving us any big vocal change. Unsurprisingly, my favourite part is the stripped-down bridge that feels like a welcome change after the hypnotic trance that the majority of the song echoes. It's my least favourite song on the album, and coming in second last. And our final song of the album takes a complete shift like Jimmy Cooks did on Honestly Nevermind. Princess gets Drake in his emo goth bag like he's always dreamed of. And again, I love it. Love it enough for it to take up our last spot at 11th. It being so different makes it really hard to judge against these other songs because they're mostly fighting for the same type of play. Princess is like an emo rock power ballad almost, and sounds like something he'd sing as a joke, but it really works. And it was probably something he made when he was saying how Rhea Ripley was his muse, and around the time of his Julia Wolf collaboration on Doghouse. The dirty, harsh synth just feels so good. The vocal gymnastics are fun, and when we spoke about variety and versatility, he gives us a lot of different deliveries. I will say part of its ranking feels like it's based on novelty. It's especially unique and different in Drake's discography while still making sense and fitting. And I love how it closes out the album and journey from so many highs to something slow but of substance and that still feels full-bodied. And that's all of Maid of Honour. I'm joking saying that if you hate this album, I hate you because everybody has their own music tastes. I just think there's so much great music and music genres out there to enjoy, and for an artist like Drake to put his audience on and offer his flair to it is mad. As you might have noticed in my ranking, the first part of the album was my favourite, and I think that's because the album was split into different genres and styles of electronic or dance music. The infectious energy of those early songs was what I was most excited to hear on this album from Drake, because it was the new thing, and obviously I think it really worked. But I love that he gave us so much, not only across 3 albums, but giving us a bit of everything on this album too when we don't know if we'll tap into this sound again. I'm a big fan of Maid of Honour and wear it like a badge of pride because it feels neglected, just like Honestly Nevermind, in the wider Drake fandom. If you love and appreciate this album too, I love you. I'll always support artists branching out and trying different things if it works. And for an artist as big as Drake to put his spin on it is a really cool thing to have if you already enjoy this type of music. But okay, that's enough of a ramble. I'm giving this album an 8.5 out of 10. I think Iceman is a masterpiece and is the best of the 3 albums. But I think Maid of Honor is better than Habibti. 1 or 2 more great songs would have elevated this up to a 9, but like I said, I never thought we'd hear some 80s inspired disco from Drake in our lifetime, so I can't really complain. The pacing of it, the journey of it, the summer or nightlife feel, it's at least going to be played by me for the rest of my life. But that's going to wrap up my last ranking on Drake's last 3 albums. Again, let me know your thoughts on my ranking or your own in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, check out my channel for more like it and a whole bunch of music enjoyer deep dives. Thanks for watching, see you next time, have a great day or night.